Celebrating Heroes, brought to you by Buick and Draper Fencing.
An Indiana man killed in the Japanese attack of Pearl Harbor is finally getting recognition 8 decades later.
As Wish TV celebrates Heroes this month, News 8's Cody Adams brings us the story of Francis Hannon.
Yeah, Hannon's family never knew him except through stories. But after his remains were identified and interred at the Punch Bowl in Hawaii, his family feels like they've known him all their lives. Francis Hannon, or Bud as he was called, grew up in Middletown, Indiana. In 1939, Hannon enlisted in the Navy. Like much of his family at the time, he felt it was his duty to serve his country. He was stationed at Pearl Harbor on the USS Oklahoma as a ship fitter. Bud served on that ship for 2 years out of harm's way, much to the delight of his mother. But when Bud went to bed on December 6, 1941, he had no idea the next day would be his last.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
The USS Oklahoma was one of more than 20 ships destroyed by Japanese forces that day. It was hit by multiple torpedoes. The battleship capsized, resulting in the deaths of Hannon and 428 other crewmen.
That night when Bud went to bed on Saturday night, he was in paradise and we were not at war. And the next morning before noon, he was gone.
Vanessa Hannon Helming and John Reddington are Bud's cousins, born years after Bud's untimely death. Vanessa says her dad, Bud's cousin, learned of Bud's death a short time after the attack.
My dad was in California waiting to meet Bud on his R&R. And that's when Pearl Harbor got hit. And my dad said that he knew in his heart that Bud was killed and that he would never see him again.
Bud's death was hard on the family, and at the time made even harder because of the inability to identify his remains. An attempt to identify the remains in 1947 resulted in the identification of just 35 crew members from the Oklahoma. Those who could not be identified, including Hannon, were classified as non-recoverable and buried at the National Cemetery of the Pacific in Honolulu, also known as the Punch Bowl.
Of course, back then, family was so much closer than they are today, but it really took a toll on it.
In 2015, personnel from the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency exhumed the remains of the unidentified sailors for analysis. Scientists identified Hannon using dental, anthropological, and mitochondrial DNA analysis. He was accounted for in August of 2017, but it wasn't until recently that Helming and her family learned of the news. It was an opportunity for the family to bring closure that was long overdue.
Our parents, who were directly involved in that conflict, survived. And Bud never had the chance to have that family and have his family members and enjoy the life. So the very least the rest of us can do, and our obligation is to remember him and honor him.
The family was flown out to Hawaii, where they attended Hannon's interment 81 years after his tragic death.
It was just a wonderful thing to be able to finally go back and represent the family to give him the honors that he deserved 81 years ago.
Helming says it was emotional in many different ways, and while it originally started as a way to honor their parents, they quickly felt an attachment to a man they never really knew.
I mean, I just got overcome with emotion, and it wasn't as it was for Bud. You know, if other people had not done what they did and gave the ultimate sacrifice like Bud, we wouldn't be where we are today.
The Navy covers all the costs involved in that interment. The family tells me it was amazing working with the Navy to make all of that happen. They also say that Bud's hometown of Middletown is planning a celebration this weekend in his honor. In the newsroom, Cody Adams, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.